Ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas are once again stalled. The Hamas delegation left Cairo without reaching an agreement, according to reports, making it unlikely that a deal can be reached before Ramadan begins on Sunday. After pressure from the U.S., though, intense pressure, because of the dire situation inside Gaza in getting aid to the north in particular, a senior administration official says that Israel has, as we've been reporting, finally agreed to open a new border crossing to deliver aid directly into northern Gaza. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel joins us now from Amman, Jordan, where he just returned from a U.S.-Jordanian airdrop of more aid into Gaza, which is really, so much smaller than the truckloads. It was 700, 800 truckloads a day before the war. Then they were finally up to about 200 truckloads a day. But the fighting continuing and the problems of delivery inside Gaza became so profound that they had to suspend a lot of that. Tell us about your experience with the airdrop.
One of the strangest. Absolutely. This is one of the strangest relief efforts that I've ever covered as a journalist. When we think of an aid drop, generally it's just two scenarios in which these things are carried out. One, a natural disaster in a very remote area. Imagine a flood, a hurricane, some sort of something that has made the area inaccessible. So you have to get aid to people, but there's nowhere to land, so you drop material from planes. That is a kind of a standard airdrop scenario. The other is where you have a hostile force, an enemy force surrounding a city, surrounding a country, and you want to get aid to the people, but you can't get through the enemy ringing the terrain. So you go over the enemy and drop the aid directly into the people. Neither one of those applies in this situation. It's not an enemy that is controlling access to Gaza. It is controlled by Israel primarily, and it is Israel that is imposing very strict restrictions on what can go in and out. And it is not a natural disaster. There's plenty of places to land a plane. So instead, we have this very strange situation where now Jordan is leading this effort because Jordan is right next to Israel, right next to Gaza. It's not a very long flight at all, but it is an international effort, as you mentioned. The U.S. Also taking part, lending aircraft, the Dutch, several other nations, the Egyptians, the United Arab Emirates, doing this mission in which they load up planes, C-130 cargo planes, here in Jordan. They coordinate the flight plans with the Israeli military so that they're not shot down or get in the way of an ongoing conflict. They are given a window after a lengthy negotiation process, and then over the target. In this case, it was northern Gaza. The plane has its back doors that are open, and the pallets of humanitarian relief are slid out the back and parachute down to the people below. We were on one of these today. It was done by the Jordanian military, and they managed to push out more than a dozen, about 16 different pallets, which is useful for the people who are going to receive that food aid. It is going to be could be life-saving relief, because medical officials say that people are now starving to death, particularly children and other vulnerable people are starving to death in Gaza. But around the Arab world, people are watching this, particularly the U.S. involvement, and scratching their heads. How can the United States be both supplying weapons and political support to Israel and then supplying what is a real bare minimum amount of aid to the people of Gaza? It seems like, to many, it seems like the U.S. is working at cross purposes, that if it really wanted to help the people of Gaza, it would try and find another solution, either getting more aid in, finding a ceasefire, but just dropping a few pallets at a time onto the 2.3 million people of Gaza. It provides some political cover. It's useful. Again, the people who receive it, it could save their lives, but it is not a long-term solution.
I need to ask you also about this port. I know they were eager to announce something. They don't have a ceasefire agreement to announce. They've got hostage families in the audience in the chamber tonight. But when they talk about building a port from Cyprus, they're emphasizing that there'll be no U.S. personnel on the ground, that this will be offshore. I know that, the Seabees can do a lot of things, but this will take a while to establish. And it'll also take a while to establish this new opening, because when Rafah was supposed to open, I know that, Blinken it took 3 weeks to a month before they finally got it open, got the agreements, the security, all the players who had to be involved. And now to get it into northern Gaza, they could have done this a long time ago. They resisted because they said it wasn't safe. So it's going to take a while. Exactly.
So don't look for this to be a quick solution, or even potentially be a solution at all. A few minutes ago, and the last few days, we've been talking about, well, maybe they will reach a ceasefire, and that the ceasefire could be built upon and go to potentially a cessation of hostilities, at least for the time being. Now, that doesn't seem to be what they're aiming for. Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, just posted online, said, and then his comments were tweeted out, that they have every intention of carrying out the military objective in Rafah. That anyone who's telling them that the Israeli military shouldn't go into Rafah is telling Israel, to paraphrase the Prime Minister, that they should lose the war against Hamas. So he, according to what he says, has every intention of doing a very controversial, what would inevitably be a very disruptive and bloody campaign in Rafah. So now we're talking about other ways to get aid in. Critics would say that the United States is just participating in a way to prolong the campaign, to enable Israel to carry out its campaign while getting some humanitarian assistance to the people of Gaza. But that said, Andrea, what is the alternative? Well, the U.S. is in a very difficult situation where it backs Israel's war against Hamas, but it is also trying to provide some relief to the people of Gaza. And it is ending up in a situation where neither side is satisfied, and the people of Gaza still are not getting what they need, and Hamas is still in power.